Hello, hello. It's Holly Rustick here with Grant Writing and Funding, and I'm so excited to be talking to Kia Chatmon today. And she is the founder and principal consultant of Heart for the Community Consulting. Such a great name, and you're such an amazing individual. I love it so much. Kia is also in the mentorship, so I know her. I know her. And just talking about today, we're going to be really looking at your business, what you're doing, how you're growing your business, how you're being able to set up a lot of systems in your business, hiring, all the things. So welcome to the podcast, Kia.
Thank you. Thank you. Excited to be here.
I'm so excited. So let's talk about you. Love diving into none of us, and I was talking to Dr. Ginny earlier today, and she had, none of us fall into grant writing, or we all fall into grant writing. None of us plan to do it, right? So what got you into grant writing? Because this is always the question. I love the question. Like, what got you into it? And what cause area or geographic area do you serve?
So, my entire career has been in the nonprofit sector. I'm located physically in Washington, D.C. And grant writing, it's interesting because I started off, program on the front lines in a nonprofit, worked in program in different nonprofits, both on the local and the national level. But then one of the jobs, well, actually, grant writing, I worked for a colleague who started a consulting firm, and he did organizational development. So all the things with ED, strategic planning, board development, and we worked on helping them with fundraising. And I learned myself grant writing and enjoyed that. And then just found later on down the line, fundraising became a part of future jobs. And then the grant writing fit me the best. I'm an introvert. I like to write. I like to research. I'm not the schmoozer who's out there doing the individual donors and major donors. So it fit. It allowed me to serve in nonprofits and also kind of fit my personality. So here I
love
am
that.
with my own, it being what I do.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and even coming from because I have a lot of background in nonprofits too, and it's so nice to see there are so many different things, and there's different personalities, like to your point, right? And to say like, what's the real good fit for me too? And I always liked writing grants, and I'm kind of like an extrovert wannabe introvert. Like I have my moments where I'm like, don't bother me. And, I'd have my door closed, like working on grants, sign on the door,
Right.
like, like, I got to be here. Like I got to be in the zone. So that's so amazing. And did you find like when you were working in nonprofits, was it in certain cause areas or just certain, expertise levels in that way or community needs?
Right. I was thinking about that earlier. So I worked for the national organization Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, which I guess is public health. Then I did some work I was the grant writer for the National Organization of Concerned Black Men. So that was actually African-American children, mentoring Black boys. My last job was at Providence Health Foundation. So it was a health focus. And now my clients range from education, youth development, environmental. I think the only cause area I probably have not worked with is maybe animals. I've done a little bit of work with arts organizations, health organizations, education organizations. Don't think I've done anything with animals, but no, I'm not in one, not in just one cause area. And like I said, I'm physically in Washington, D.C., but I've worked with clients here on the East Coast, as far north is Philly, south is Florida, and west is California.
There you go. The whole thing. So, and then, we left out Hawaii, we left out territories, we left out Alaska.
Oh, Midwest, Chicago and Milwaukee, so Midwest. So I think I have almost all the country.
Yeah. All right. So I love, looking at that and saying, okay, I can serve, yes, in my area, but it doesn't have to be. I can niche down, but I don't need to. I can go wide and be a generalist. But are there areas in your business that are niche? Like, do you have certain services, or do you write certain types of grants, or do certain, like, let's talk about that. Cause I like to say I'm a generalist too. I work even with the animals. And, but I always like to say, like, I can write, and I still have like certain scopes of work that I offer, right? There's certain, or like, I'm like, well, I was doing mostly just Guam for a long time, right? Like, so can you kind of talk about that?
Yes. So just corporate and private foundations, so no federal. Which, because when I had the choice, when I had to do federal, I was like, I really don't like this. And one day, if I don't have to do it, I want it's specialized. Like, there are people who love it, but I just knew corporate and private foundation was my area. And the last 7 years, I've really focused on researching, so identifying the alignment between the nonprofit and those corporate and private foundations that fit them. And then the writing, developing, really helping them to develop what I call a master content document, which has answers most of the questions asked by most private and corporate foundations. And recently, just given as I kind of stepped back and looked at the people who I served, I realized that grant readiness was something that was important. A lot of times I meet people, share with them, I'm a grant writer. There are folks who want to start a nonprofit, have a nonprofit, have heard these things called grants, but don't really fully understand what they are. It's like, oh, but I've heard I need grants. There's money there. But then actually, once you kind of look behind the curtain, it's like, there's some things you have to get into place before, I could write a great one for you, but you're not ready. So I guess the three areas are grant readiness, grant research, and then proposal writing across cause
I love
areas.
that. Yeah. And then with the corporate or private foundations.
Corporate, yes, like with the focus on corporate and private foundations, yes.
I love that. And then what resources do you like to use or software for researching?
I found it Foundation Directory Online for the longest time, but then I was introduced to Instrumental, which I do love because of it allows us to do the research, but then dig a little bit deeper into the foundation the foundation. So seeing their history a little deeper than we were with FDO, seeing what percentage of new grantees they take on, which is really important. Yes, so Instrumental. And then a smaller one called Grant Gopher. Being a member of GPA, Grant Professionals Association, I also have access to Grant Watch, I believe. So use a couple different tools. Or Grant Station. Grant Watch.
Yeah,
there's so many different ones, but those are kind of the few that I have or do work with.
I love that so much. And yeah, I remember I was an FDO user for so long, and it was around when I first got started back in, I believe it was like 2004, whenever I started, way back in the day.
Yeah.
And it's been around for a long time. The other one that I remember back then was Foundation Search. Do you remember that one?
Foundation Search. I don't
that
remember
was like
that.
They had the maps. It felt so high tech at the time to see where all, you know what I mean? And that one, I don't know what happened to it. It fizzled out at some point, but it was nice to have the two. But now, like with Instrumental, like I think I'm like, whoa, that's really advanced, right?
Yeah.
So it is like, it is nice to see. And I think there's also like different budgets and all that. What I do like about Foundation Directory is I do like that since the pandemic that they've been putting it in for free in libraries and a lot of different libraries and that sort of thing, like at different levels. So I think that's been really, really fun. But Instrumental, they do give a more in-depth analysis. But anyway, like you can even do Grant Gopher starting out, right? Like, so I love that you have this, you looking at the different sources. And I know like Grant Station too, like they have more international grants. So it's like where you go,
exactly,
depending on, like, you might not need that if you're serving the nation, right? So some people are finding it in different ways, and you don't need all of them either. But I just wanted to kind of pick your brain. I don't want to stress people out. I want to be like, hey, you guys don't know about grant research. Let's talk about it because that's what you love to do.
Different. Right? There's a lot of, to your point, a lot of different tools and a lot of different price points. So
Yep. So okay, so awesome. I love this so much. So when did you start your business? Let's talk about your business.
I started the last job I had was with the Providence Health Foundation. They did some restructuring, so they got rid of my position. And that was end of 2017. One of the perks to being laid off was working with a career coach. And as we were working through what my next steps were, I was like, do I want another job? Or is this an opportunity for me to do my own thing? Because I tried to do my own thing before in 2008, which I was like, that was our last recession. And to this day, I do not know how I fed myself, but I somehow managed to survive a whole year working for myself during the recession, but I learned some lessons. And so
what were you doing? What was your
I was
job?
doing grant writing. I was doing grant writing, but I had no, there was no plan. There were no clients lined up. I'd worked for other people who had these firms. And I was like, well, if they can do it, cocky, if they can do it, I can do it. Yeah. Kia had no plan. Grace of God, though, Kia stayed fed, clothed, and housed through 2008. But then I said, if I ever do it again, have a plan. So
Yeah.
when I was let go in 2017, I made the decision. I think I had a severance and I had some time before the job was officially over. So I started to let my network know, hey, I'm going to be free. What do you need? And at that time, because I had done so many different things in nonprofits and had a pretty good network of colleagues in nonprofits, I was doing different things. I was doing grant writing, but then some project management, some other stuff. And then I said, okay, I really want to focus on grant writing. And I just told people that's what I was doing. And so I freelanced, I think 2018, but then kind of learning about, tax structures and just profitability, start a company. So I started my company in 2019. So I've
Nice.
been independent since end of 17, beginning of 18, but the business was established in 2019.
Nice. I love that so much. And then, yeah, and just getting clients through your network again as you're building that out. Nice. Okay. I love
Yeah,
that so
word of mouth. Then for me, my social media of choice is LinkedIn.
Yep.
Just,
Yep.
I actually just recently put a company page on my LinkedIn, but it was Kia grant writer. People would search and see grant writer and reach out, or again, colleagues, are you still doing grant writing? So that's been the bulk. Been blessed with word of mouth for the last 7 years. And just recently, I'm starting to do some efforts to put myself out there,
Yeah.
outside of the word of mouth.
Amazing. Amazing. And I know you've been working on that in the mentorship, but before we talk about that, because you do have a LinkedIn live series coming up, then we want to definitely talk about, but yeah, before that, you came inside the mentorship in 2024. So you had your
Yep.
business going for a
Yep.
while. So, as you mentioned, 2019, you're officially established with your business. You were just doing the freelancing, et cetera. Like, what made you join the mentorship then at that point?
Right.
For your
And
business?
I don't remember how I found out about you, but I'm a saver of all my emails. So my Gmail goes way, way back. And you're in my Gmail from I don't even know how many years ago.
Oh, how
But what
fun.
I think I remember, it was one of your free trainings. And one of the things that really attracted me to you and your community was it was a free training and it was a really helpful free training. It wasn't one of those where people kind of dangle, this is free, you're going to leave with this, but they take you kind of right to the edge. And it's like, well, if you want the rest of it, I have this
Fine, my
program.
thing.
I just, that just never feels right to me.
Yeah.
But I have all these notes. I'm like, oh, I can apply this. I can apply this. I'm thinking, if this is what I'm getting from this woman for free, what would it be like to be, in her program? So yeah, that's what attracted me to it. And really just hearing your story about growing your business and it being, because I'd participate in other business development programs. I'm the proud and blessed graduate of Goldman Sachs 1 Million
Oh,
Black
no.
Women, Black in Business program, which I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And actually, that's why it took me so long to really get active in the mentorship because they happened at
What
the
is
same
that?
time.
That? Yes, hold on. We talked about that
They
because I
happened.
said, yep, focus on
Yep,
that, then roll into
they
that. Okay,
happened.
sorry.
But
I'm
the
having
but the beauty of this is while that gave me overall business development, this is like business development for a grant writing business. So
right.
I think I was like, oh, this will be a good marriage because I'll know these like basic business principles, but working with Holly, it's like, okay, but this is how you apply it in this kind of specific
Yeah.
type of business. So,
Right.
and then the community, just meeting other people from around the country, from different cause areas, different types of experiences. Um, yeah, so that's what attracted me to it. And like I told you earlier, I'm signing up for my second year, so so I'm excited. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. I'm curious. So the Goldman Sachs, like your business training there, and then now going into the mentorship, like back to back, basically. Like,
Mhm.
what's been like? I would love to know, like, what is so different about our program compared to that, or any similarities, or you know what I mean, like any resonance to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there are definitely similarities. So, things like and I'm probably gonna get my names wrong, but who's your ideal client? So you're talking about both of those principles in this world and in that world, but then like the system. So in this program, like what systems make sense for a grant consultancy? So how do you go about hiring a VA? Um, your CRM systems or just or even those I didn't participate in I missed that particular session, but the calls, the discovery calls, and kind
Discovery
of
calls.
combating
Yeah.
the not the challenges, but those type of things that are very specific to a grant writing or research or grant services business.
Yeah.
That's been particularly, and you're talking to people who go through the same thing you do. So it's like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
facing this because one of the new services I added in the last couple months was grant readiness, because I was
Nice.
doing research for clients, I was doing writing for clients, not always having the success with them that I wanted. And it took kind of a minute for that light bulb to go off, go, oh, you know what? They've got some things they've got to get in place before we even travel down that road. And so I was able to reach out to others in the community and say, hey, does anyone else offer grant readiness services? What do those entail? So bouncing ideas off people who know what you're talking about and who have the
Yeah.
same type of, experiences that you do.
Yeah, and getting that feedback in there. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
super, super helpful. I love that. Yeah, I love that. I was like, oh, I never thought about comparing my program to one of those kind of very well established, nationally known, like amazing groups. So I'm so glad that you found there's benefits in the mentorship. You do other certifications that are general business, right? General
Right,
business, because
exactly.
it is, like we're talking to your who, like in all the
Hmm.
things. So what have you found particularly useful for in the mentorship? Like, are any of the
You know what I
frameworks
just
or
used? What I just used, and I need to actually reach out to you and give you my new service, my elevated change statement. So
yeah.
on my website, so I put that information. I've now talking about myself, the business, the services in that way on the website. So when people go, it's like, okay, this is what we do, this is what we provide, this is where you end up working with us. Now, I probably maybe over trial and error would have landed into that myself, but for you to take your experience and say, hey, this is what works, this is what you need to do. And so then to know that that is something that works and be able to apply that into my business. So yes, most
Yeah.
recently I have, well, like I said, the grant ready, I, checked in with colleagues around grant readiness to find out what they do to help me shape what I
Mhm.
do. I
Yep.
put the elevated change statement on my website.
Mhm.
What else? And it might have been through, I will say, you alluded to it a little bit ago. So LinkedIn Live, I'm going to do some LinkedIn Live,
Yeah.
a couple of series, which I'm very excited about. And that came through, I do have other colleagues outside of grant writing who were doing them. So I saw it, didn't think much about it. But then in one of our mentorship calls, just hearing people, I don't know if anyone else is doing I think they were talking about more maybe webinars or trainings. But I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know that I mean, maybe down the road, a webinar and a training, but in the meantime, I really want to just kind of help educate, provide people with information and education. And it benefits the community, but also benefits me to say, hey, this is who we are, what we do, what we can help you with. And so I'm going to use LinkedIn Live as a way to hopefully expand and market the business, and also expose people to some great nonprofits along the way, and hopefully help them in building their networks as well.
Yeah, and I love, like, that goes back to even what you were saying. What attracted you to the mentorship and to our ecosystem was seeing that value is given, right? So I like
Mm-hmm.
that you're also taking that and be like, I want to give value back to the world too,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and elevating your position too as a thought leader and expert in those areas while doing that. So I love that idea of, I want to do these to add value, right?
Mm-hmm.
So good. And in your area, and to highlight nonprofits. Another thing you did, we had a 100 leads in 45 days challenge
Right.
where we had a training, and then we had a drop every single day. There's different activity to do that's very low hanging fruit to move forward to get leads, whether for your newsletter that you want to launch or for anything. And you launched a blog during that time,
I
right?
did. I launched a blog, which it's funny, when I was in the Goldman Sachs program, we had coaches, that worked with us, and I kept telling my coach, I want to launch a blog, and she was like, "Here, what is this blog going to be? Why do you want to launch this blog?" And I finally did it. And again, for me, I felt like I had all this good information to share, and thought
Yeah.
a blog would be a good way to get it out there. So it's out there. My VA, and God bless VAs, she added Google Analytics to both my MailChimp and my website, so we can track it. Now it's only about maybe 5 or 6 weeks in, so it's not, hasn't been going for a long time. But again, it feels good to me to get the information out there, and hopefully, it starts to spread and help people. I do have some people who consistently, I mean, just a handful, but people who consistently open it. And
I
when I've
love it.
reached out to some of them to actually be in the LinkedIn Live series, they're like, "Yeah, I see you're growing. I get your blog." So I know some folks, somebody's reading it. So,
Yeah.
so yeah,
I
that's
mean,
been
if
exciting.
anything, I always say like it's so good to do, and then you have content to pull from. So you might be like, at some point, you might be like, okay, I want to, run the LinkedIn Live, but what am I going to talk about this time? And it's like, look back at your blogs that you've written, look back at, you know what I mean? You can repurpose that into social media graphics,
Right.
into reels, into so many things, because it is just wonderful content that you can repurpose again and again and again,
Hmm.
right? And as writers, we love it. We love it, right? So I think that's fantastic. And plus, like, SEO still works, right? So if you're writing about things about grant writing, like, that is a way that people will be able to find you online
Right.
too. So yeah, I love that so much. That's so good. Okay, so and you talked about hiring. So you mentioned your VA in
Hmm.
the program too. We do like have a whole segment on how to hire a part-time team, even if it's just your first VA or whatnot. Have you been what kind of things have you been able to pull from that kind of training?
I think the test, because I talked to other folks with other businesses who had VAs, and I don't remember if anybody did any kind of testing of them before hiring, but I
Yeah,
received a couple of resumes and was trying to figure out, like, well, how do I pick? They all look good. How
yeah,
do I pick from them?
yeah.
And I gave them a test. I
Mm-hmm.
forget what it was
That's
at the
projects.
moment.
Yeah, we talk
I
about
forget
doing
what
them.
it
Yeah.
was, but I was like, here, do this, and this will help me to decide who'll be best for the position. So that was actually that was another nugget that I used from the training. And she's wonderful. My VA is really good, and it took me a while. I think shifting from a freelancer solopreneur to it took me a while to understand, like, Kia, you don't have to do it all.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm
Yeah,
still learning to release some things, but saying, like, okay, you can train people and you can
yeah.
delegate. And it just felt weird to kind of let some things go. But so it's taken a while to kind of, I think, utilize both my VA and my 1099s, who are writer researchers for me, to do all they can do.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
Yeah.
something I'm still working on in my business. But again, through the mentorship, having tools like, here are trainings, here are ways you can, because I think it was through the mentorship, I determined, instead of having individual conversations with everybody who I hired, the same conversations over and over again, I record myself on Zoom. I upload that into our Google Drive, say, okay, watch this training, we can talk about it. But it's helped with time management because they can just go and watch it, and I don't necessarily
Mm-hmm.
have to spend a couple of hours, or still spend time, but maybe not as much time, because the video training has cut some of that time.
It cuts a lot. And even if that will always sit there. So as long as it's the same process,
Right.
even if you have new people come on board, you can just direct them to that training again.
Hmm.
Like, it's so, and I love that you're using Zoom. That was one of the recommendations. Like, we love using Loom as well, but I'm like, sometimes I'll use Zoom too, because it's just a way to screen record, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So you can look at your screen or record yourself, or you can screen record. And then if you already have an account with Zoom, it's free. And then,
Right.
like you mentioned, you can just upload it into a Google Drive, and that can be your training. So, so, so
And I
good.
think that's one of the, I guess, I know, or a piece of advice I would give to new entrepreneurs is, when you first start, there are all these, you talk to people and everybody recommends all these platforms. Oh, you should have this, and you should have this, and you should have this. And I was guilty of that. Like, oh, let me buy this, let me buy this. And you don't realize how much you're spending in those subscriptions. They start to add up. And I learned of Loom, and I almost purchased Loom, but I was like, hey, wait, Zoom can be
Can
used
do
for
the
that
same
purpose. I
thing.
already have Zoom, so let's use this. So really
Yep.
looking at, it's taking a minute to see, okay, what is it that I really need? What's free? And even if I have to pay for a subscription, and then what maybe has multiple purposes. So Zoom, even though I now do most of my meetings on Google Meets, if necessary, you can do your meetings on Zoom, but you can also do your trainings on Zoom, or even webinars. I think they have one of the things they offer is webinars. So getting your arms around
Everyone's
that,
trying to
like,
be,
what platforms. I know.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all trying to pull. But I just wrote that note. That is, you know what we're going to do in the mentorship this year? We're going to have a subscription purge day.
Mm. And
Yes, that's such a good note.
track them because
Yes.
one just caught up with me. I don't know if I should name it, but I had it, and it actually it's to sign contracts, but the CRM that I use has that. My contracts now go out through that. So I had written down cancel it, but I waited too long. And so I missed their window to cancel. So now I have my VA. We have the spreadsheet of all my subscriptions, all their
I love
due
it.
dates to see,
Yep.
okay, what
Yep.
do I need to get rid of and what do I keep? Because they, especially if they're automated and just kind of monthly, or they have you do that annual renewal and
Annually.
you'll look up and your
Yeah.
credit card was hit and or your bank account
Yeah.
was hit and you didn't even, realize it.
Yep. Yep. I know. I know. Yeah. We need it every year. We need to look at that sheet or have our VA, exactly to your point. But yeah, that would be a fun thing to do. Like, if you don't have that sheet, we're making it and you're bringing it.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead. Let's be
Yeah.
alert, right?
And look and
Yeah.
see, because to your point about Zoom, like, have any of the things you had added anything? Like I
Mhm.
said, now I have one. It's not project management, but it sends out my contracts. It tracks the emails, it does all that. So looking at that and saying, okay, oh, my calendar, because I had another thing for my calendar, but my calendar's in the CRM. So it's like, okay, those two things are in there, so I can take those two of the subscriptions out because it's
Yeah.
in this platform,
Yeah, because they add the features because they want to be that one place right now.
all in
And I
one.
think there was
Yeah,
a lot of specialized tech, and now the tech, now that they've gotten things oiled out, they're adding all those other features in. And yeah, so yeah, I'm sure I have duplicate tech all over the place that I need to figure out. So yeah, I'm having that purge day for me too. So yeah,
yeah,
but
and save
I
money.
love.
You'll look up and go, oh, that's $100 or something a month, or even a
Oh yeah.
year that I don't have to, that I can save. So
Exactly. I love that so much. And yeah, and just talking about like your business, like I love everything that you're doing in your business and growing it. And like you mentioned, you hired your VA during the mentorship program. Did you hire you had other people in, or have you hired all your roles this year? Did you have your
no, I
1099s?
had them. So I've been working with my contractors who do research and writing for me. They've been 1099s. I am a W-2, so I'm my only employee, and other folks are 1099s. I've had
Mhm.
them. I guess I've grown the number. So right now I have one VA and then three, 1099s. So I think I'm about my largest right now.
Wow, I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. I know, and I know when you signed in, like, why did you join? Like, coming into mentorship, one of the things was you're like, I just need to get my systems together.
Yep.
And in the green room, you're like, yeah, did it now. Like, I've been, like, how has that been? Just like systems work.
Yeah, it's been good. I feel more comfortable now with doing this, getting on larger platforms, attracting more business because, the my writer, they're trained on the research, well, they're the same writer researchers. They're trained on the tool. We have our format. We
I
have
love
the master content document. They know what information to pull, what information to onboarding. I have like officially
that.
onboarding, which I
Yeah.
didn't really maybe I did it, but maybe not as formally or call it that, but onboarding of clients where I can have the writer researcher participate in that onboarding. And I learned through my Goldman program, because I guess I was blessed in that clients would have a good experience with me, but once it was over, it was kind of over for me. I
Yeah.
didn't have anything in place where I stayed in touch, a 1 month
Mm,
check in,
mhm.
a 3 month, a 6 month. And so I learned about that client journey
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Goldman. And so even in that my system, there's onboarding, there's the work together, but then there are also some workflow automations where we check in with them a month later, 3 months later,
I love that.
6 months later, just to say,
Yeah.
hey, how are you doing? We're still here if you need anything else. So yeah.
That's so good. And yeah, I've definitely had returning clients. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like it happens. And just that relevancy can mean just that one email. And that you can automate a lot of that, like so nice, right?
Right.
And that can be like so much easier getting a returning client than a new one as well. Because they already know
Hmm.
you, they already trust you, they already
Yep.
like you, like all of the things. So Oh, that's so good. Yes. All right. So, let's talk about where people can find you if they're like, okay, I want this grant writer. Maybe they're in DC, maybe they're not. Maybe they're like, I want someone that's really focused. I really want to lean into corporate and private foundations right now. I really want to have that expertise because you've got a lot of the software. They don't even know how to use
Right.
it. Like, it is an art
Exactly.
and a skill for sure to find the right fit. So where can folks find you?
Well, heartforthecommunityconsulting.com, our website.
Fun.
You can go there, read about who we are, what we do. We have a weekly blog, so you can subscribe to the blog there. And again, we share all kinds of great information. If you do sign up on our email list, when we launch the LinkedIn Live, and I guess I didn't say what it was about. What it's really focused on, it's 2 series. So while I don't just focus on Black-led organizations, I do have a heart for that community. So we're actually doing a LinkedIn Live series for founders and leaders. So we'll have a series of African American folks who have founded nonprofits. So for those folks out there like, oh, I've always wondered or wanted to establish one. So learning from their challenges, things they wish they knew before they did it, their best practices, but then also leaders or executive directors, because it's a little different. Organizations that are run by people of color, it's different. And so allowing them a space to share how so, and again, their successes, their challenges, and kind of words of wisdom and advice for others who either find themselves in those seats or who want to be in those seats. So if you sign up for our email list, when we do launch that in the fall, you'll know when those are and can tune in and watch.
That is so good, and it's so needed and so helpful. Like so I just know, and I got some people for you.
Okay.
I'm ready to be like Carmen Randolph, like all the people are like running through my mind. Yeah, like running really, really cool organizations and just, like people of color, and there are different things that they face, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. I mean, there's even like very clear data that shows about like the different funding that goes to different organizations. I know Voulet always talks about that as well for, different organizations that are run by people of color and what the different types of funding that they get, the venture capitalism, like all of the things. So that's definitely needed. I'm so glad you're doing that. I'm looking forward. I want to follow that. You got to tag me in it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank
tag
you.
me on LinkedIn. Yeah, for sure. So y'all can check that out, see what Kia's up to, all of the things, and the services that she offers as well. We'll put it in our show notes too. But thank you, Kia, so much for coming on today. I've loved hearing more about your journey. Even if I had a brain fart there for a second, I'm telling you, menopausal brain, it's fun.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, and I will see you back inside the mentorship for another year. And
Yes,
I'm
you
so
will.
excited to keep being a part of your journey. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.